Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Conservative Corner. I'm Elliot Margolis, and I'm here with my guest today, John Taylor. John is running for school committee in Ward 6, my ward, so I have a real stake in this. So I'm going to ask him some tough questions to see what he thinks about education, but frankly, anybody would be an improvement over what we have in Ward 6, in my opinion. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Elliot. It's great to be here.
So, John, why are you running for school committee in Ward 6?
I think we need three things, and I think three things would really help our community. One, communication. Two, representation. And three, I think we need community. We've been through a really disruptive time in our community, and I think we need more community building.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What do you think of the fact that the Department of Education is being eliminated by President Trump?
I think that's a really good question, and I think that speaks to some of the funding cuts we're experiencing. Can I talk a little bit about that?
Please do.
So I'd like to talk about special education specifically. If I may, can I define that, what that is? So special education, if you're not aware, is the way that we meet unique learning needs at Beverly Public Schools. So think about, you may have somebody you love who's a unique learner who learns a little bit more slowly, right? That's special education. And Beverly Public Schools, you, the taxpayer, fund that. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Do you know how much of your tax bill goes to fund Beverly Public Schools?
About half.
Yes, about 51.4%. What happened with special education funding, or the special education law, was back in the 1970s, the community of the state of Massachusetts got together and said, we'd like to not do these substantially separate classrooms, but instead bring these slower learners into regular education classrooms. That seems like a good idea, doesn't it?
No.
Well, I think so. The community thought so. That maybe a slower learner, I was a slower learner, I'm a CPA now, I'm a finance and education person now, that I would be mainstreamed is what they call it. And that was a pretty small budgetary item at the time. But it grew, Elliot, and it's continued to grow. So big, in fact, and I know I'm talking for a long time, but this really matters in education trends in Beverly. And it matters to what Elliot asked me at the beginning, which is, what do I think about the Department of Education being cut? I want to bring this back, okay? As that cost grew to provide special education services, the state realized that Beverly needed more help. So the state did what they often do and said, well, we'll help you. And they gave us about 22 cents of every dollar. That wasn't a great help, was it? I think you'd agree.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But it's not the amount of money that's important. What's important is how you spend the money.
It is.
Okay, so for instance, when the Department of Education was formed under Jimmy Carter X number of years ago,
Yep.
The United States was one of the top 10 countries in the world in education. We're now about 34th, and we spend more money than any other country in the world. So there's no causal link between how much you spend and the quality of education. Where's the money going? It's not going to education, it's going to administrators, or people feel good about spending a lot of money, but it's not the answer. The answer is quality education, and spend the time educating kids instead of having 17 different principals of different schools and, you know, a lot of administrators building new buildings.
I'm going to disagree with you.
My question is, why does everybody need to have a new school? You look at Harvard, Princeton, Yale, a lot of these colleges, which are quote-unquote elite colleges, are old. They have old buildings. The quality, the type of building is not going to help education. It's the teachers, it's the discipline, which is another question for you.
Okay.
Do we have enough discipline in the schools? Because education is discipline.
I'm going to push back on you on a couple of things, and I disagree with Elliot about a couple of things. Okay? All right? One is the idea that we don't need any administrators.
I didn't say we don't need any.
Okay. All right. I think we do. I think principals are really important. Superintendents are really important. And in fact, we saw a nearby district overspend, Elliot, by $18 million, Elliot, because there was no or little administration, that they were cut so much to the bone in favor of more student-facing positions, et cetera. And student-facing positions are really important, but we cannot forget for 1 minute the importance of administrative roles. I'm going to push back.
That's all right. I'm not saying we don't need administrators. I'm saying we have too many.
Yes. I hear you. I hear you. Now, in terms of new buildings, et cetera, Hannah, let's take Hannah. A lot of our Ward 6 families go to Hannah. And Hannah was the last elementary school that was renovated, really, really renovated. Mayor Scanlon renovated Hannah. Hannah was last renovated in 2000. That's 25 years ago. We are facing new roofs that need to be done over again. You would redo your roof on your house, would you not? In 25 years, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think our Centerville families can agree that they would redo their roofs.
But see, that's one of my whole points is Beverly High School, the building we're in now,
correct,
was officially finished in, I believe it was 1965. Mm-hmm. Okay? Why did we need a new building?
In 2009?
Yeah, because it wasn't maintained. That's the answer. We got to maintain our property instead of keeping on building new ones. Maintaining is a lot cheaper than building.
I agree with you, and that's why when people say things, you know, not going to call you out, Elliot, but I'm going to disagree a little bit. You know, when people say, well, why is there all this building on educational structures, all this new stuff? Why is that so important? Well, it's so important because we want to maintain the educational buildings that we have so we don't have to pour in a lot of money like we did at Beverly High School. In 2009, our families will remember that when we built Beverly High School and we had to shut down Briscoe at one point in 2018 in favor of Beverly Middle School, that we did so because our accreditation agency told us, you give a fine level of education here in Beverly, excellent job, and all of our families here in Beverly should go to Beverly Public Schools. I firmly believe that, and I sent all of my children, as I know you did, to Beverly Public Schools, and I'm proud of that. But the accreditation agency said, you do a good job with the education, you don't do a good job with the actual school buildings. And we had to move on to Beverly Middle School.
But see, my point was if we maintain the buildings every year, because you're right, you have to put a roof on. That's that's part of maintenance.
Yeah.
But if you don't put the roof on, the building gets destroyed, and then you have to build a new one.
But I'm going to push back again because people are going to say, well, hey, you know, why do we need to put the roof on? Why do we need to have the administrator? Why shouldn't we put every dollar into a student-facing position? And the answer is we need both. And it's really important for our Centerville and Ward 6 families to make sure that both are there so they don't have to pay so extreme a tax rate.
Okay. What about discipline in the schools? I mean, you know, nowadays we don't have much in the way of discipline because administrators are afraid, gee, if we discipline this kid, maybe the parents are going to sue us for something, and that's going to cost us a lot of money. So, you know, we just don't do any discipline. To me, education is discipline. There should be rules that must be kept, including even the clothing that you wear. Because some people wear...
Inappropriate things.
Yeah.
Right? I agree.
So education is discipline. Listen to your teacher. One of the reasons, my opinion, okay,
Fair.
I've been to charter schools. Mm-hmm. I've been to public schools. Big difference in the, number one, in the quality of education. Big difference in the discipline. I see that's one of the reasons why people want to go to charter schools is because they know the kids are going to learn better. And discipline is the key. As a school committee member, what do you think about something like that?
I think a couple things, Elliot. One is in the mid-90s, Beverly was really a innovator. We had one teacher, this was I believe in the mid-90s, might have been in the mid-80s, who shoved a kid against a locker. He was so angry. Is that an appropriate way of disciplining a child?
No.
I don't think so.
No, not at all.
And so the superintendent at the time came in and said to that particular professional, we're done here, and you're done here. I think that's appropriate. Mm-hmm. Is that, in your opinion, appropriate?
Absolutely.
And so Beverly was a real innovator in that way because at the time, the state came in and said, you know, that we need to protect the professional, we need to protect the teacher. That seems to be kind of harsh to fire them. But the superintendent stood his ground, or her ground, I'm not sure who the superintendent was at the time, and firmly enforced the expectation that students will be treated appropriately, disciplined appropriately. We also here in the schools have to follow the law. So to that point, teachers cannot touch students. We can't have teachers and other professionals inappropriately touching students. You know, I think we can all agree on that. You can,
absolutely.
Right? I know you, Elliot. You're a good man. You know, and at the same time, we can't expect parents, because there are a lot of parents who struggle in our world in Beverly. Beverly is a very diverse city, right? I mean, you know Beverly.
Yep.
You know, you lived here, you know, a couple years longer than I've lived here, right, Elliot?
Yeah, I would say a couple of years longer.
Right. And you know how diverse our city is. Yep. So some parents, like myself, were able to ensure that the clothing that our children wear and the attitude that they present to the professionals in our schools is appropriate. And some parents are unable to do that for whatever reasons that is. Now, I'm going to push back on you on charter schools. Can I do that?
Please do.
Okay. If you get to choose your electorate, if you get to choose your student body, you think they're going to do really well? You think you're going to do really well?
It's a function of you have to apply to be in the charter schools because so many people want to be a charter school. So the question is, why do so many people want to go to charter schools?
Because the charter schools get to choose who gets to go to the charter schools because people are applying. Because they know that the charter schools only accept a certain caliber of student. They don't have to put up with these unfunded mandates for special education. They don't have to deal with the unique learner who's maybe a little slower in math. They don't have to provide those services. And that's why, you know what? I think my grandson will be really successful in the world. I think my grandson will be an investment banker. Pro tip, he won't. But, you know, we can all dream the dream that we have. But for the charter school, they can pick who they want. Beverly, we educate everybody who wants to come to Beverly Public Schools. And that's what makes Beverly great.
How do you feel about social promotions?
What are those?
Okay. I find kids from Beverly High or any high school, it doesn't matter, they can't spell, they don't know English very well, they can't do math. We promote people because their age says you promote them, as opposed to the fact that they don't have the quality education. They don't know the math. They don't know second grade math, but they go to third. They don't know fifth grade math, but they go to sixth grade. Why don't we keep kids back and make them learn? In other words, make them responsible for their actions. If they know that they're not going to be held back, they don't study. They don't have to. There's a reward at the end of the day, regardless of how well they do in school. Why don't we give people an incentive to do better and study?
I'm going to push back again,
There we
Elliot.
go.
I push back on Elliot all the time, but Elliot's a good guy, okay? I see this. I'm a professor at a college in finance and accounting, and I deal with a lot also in my professional career. I deal with a lot of our new entrants into the workforce. And I see this from both the charter schools, the private schools, and the public schools. Kids who don't know how to advocate for themselves, who don't know how to represent themselves, how to integrate themselves, how to put together a topic sentence, how to write. And writing, part of that is spelling, right, Elliot? You know, how to use various software applications. That permeates all kinds of types of schools, not just our public schools. I think that permeates everything. What is that a function of? Now, we can debate that, but, you know, certainly COVID has played a big role in that recently. You know, I think we can agree on that. In terms of, are we pushing kids beyond what they can truly do just because? I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe their cohort may struggle a bit more, and that's a function of persistence in the workforce. Do you persist even when it's challenging? And do you have the resilience to deal with even when something is difficult, even when you're getting some negative messages? Do you keep on moving forward in your career as a young person? You can do this. And Beverly Public Schools trains young people to do this.
Okay, now here's another one that you're going to push back on. There's a lot of kids who are here and English is not their first language,
Sure.
okay? Some kids don't speak English at all, in, you know, and yet we mainstream them in the classroom. And what that does is makes the teachers work harder with the kids that don't speak English, and the kids that do speak English and could benefit from more education, they get left in the cold. Wouldn't it make sense to take the kids who don't speak English, I don't care what language they speak, if they don't speak English, put them in a program similar to what they have in Israel called the Ulpan. And the Ulpan is a place where you go for intensive learning of the home language.
Okay.
Once you have the intensive learning of the home language, you go back to school. Now, kids, particularly the younger ones, learn languages quickly. Why should we hurt the English-speaking kids by having the teachers spend too much time with kids that don't speak English? That hurts education.
Can you tell me again what happens with the younger kids in the
Well,
Opan?
younger kids just learn the language a little quicker. You know, and basically, if you take a kid from elementary school and put him in an Ulpan, in probably 3 or 4 months, they're going to be fluent in English.
So I think that's exactly what Beverly Public Schools does. That's a lot of what our nearby public schools do, is they put these English language learners, we call them, so they're learning the English language. A lot of them have, you know, the building blocks of English language, but they're learning it, you know, in fairness, to your point. And through immersion in our programs, they get more and more and more. And within, to your point, the 3 to 4 months, they're acquiring and they have the acquisition, the knowledge acquisition. And that's why you see on the television, you know, we'll have a young child who will translate for their mother the electric bill or the gas bill, or we have cases where it's at the IEP meeting at the school. A young person who's an English language learner will bring their mother or father who doesn't speak English at all. They've never been immersed in this kind of classroom, but the young person has, and they'll translate for them.
See, if we have that, that's
Yeah.
a great thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair to the kids who can learn quickly because they know the language. So,
Yeah, and the great thing that Beverly Public and all public schools do on this point, Elliot, is the teacher doesn't direct their effort. The educational professional doesn't direct their effort solely to those English language learners. They're directing their effort to the entire class. So they are giving their effort to the regular ed kids, the English language learners, the special education kids who are immersed in those programs. So everybody is soaking up that information. That educational professional is doing a lot.
okay, now I'm going to go back to one more question because we're running low on time.
Okay.
And when
Elliot's putting me on the spot. I just want you to know.
when we were talking about, say, the dress code,
Yes, yes, sir.
because I know people in the business, I know, and when you look at parochial schools, they have uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Are you for or against a dress code? Say like polo shirts like what I'm wearing, just a regular chino type pant, nothing too expensive. Everybody has to conform like they do in the parochial school, have a uniform.
Well, the Supreme Court has set the law on this, and Beverly Public Schools must follow the law. So,
Democrats don't follow the law. Why should the Beverly Public Schools?
well, we need to imagine for a minute if somebody wore a big T-shirt that said Trump, and we said, Beverly Public Schools said, you can't wear a T-shirt that says the name of a political candidate. That would be unacceptable. So instead, what Beverly Public Schools has done is they ensure that everybody can wear what they want within the confines of the law. And we can't force people to wear a nice suit coat like mine or a tie or whatever. Maybe this isn't a nice suit coat. I don't know. You know, Elliot, you be the decider. You be the decider at home. I don't know. But the point is, we can't force people necessarily.
Parochial schools do.
You know, parochial schools have different rules. Beverly Public, we educate everybody in the school system. That makes Beverly Public great because you meet every kind of person in Beverly at Beverly Public.
Well, to me, a polo shirt and a chino type of a thing, or it's not very expensive, and it means that everybody's the same. So that's where I'm coming from. Anyhow,
Yes, sir.
we're getting real low on time.
I got
What
you.
I'd like you to do is talk to the people and tell them why they should vote for you.
Well, thank you, Elliot. And thank you for allowing me to be on your program here in the Conservative Corner here in Beverly. I want to talk to the people of Centerville, the people of the Farms, the people of Upper Dodge, Montserrat, and the rest of the city and Prides. When I went to Dix Park just the other day, talking to fathers with children, it was just wonderful, and mothers whose children had graduated through the Beverly Public Schools. You told me that you want more community, not less, that you want communication from the schools, not less, and that you want representation. I'm here to give it to you here in Ward 6. I'd like to give it to you, and I humbly ask for your vote in November. Thank you.
Great discussion. We'll probably continue this afterwards, but this gives you a good idea of John Taylor, what he's running for, why he's running, what his philosophy is. That's my job here. I hope you enjoyed the show and consider John for your vote. Thank you for watching.